Welcome, everyone. I'm Kelly Sass. I'm principal of Pine Grove Middle School. Pine Grove Middle School is the only middle school in the East Syracuse Manoa Central School District. Our school is ranked 8, and we have about 750 students that attend our school. Just to give you a little bit of demographics about ESM. Pine Grove is a Title I school. We have approximately 17% special education this year. Last year, when it was the first year that we had our STEAM team, we were a little bit higher than that. And last year, we were also the school in need of improvement. We went through an SQR review. This year, we are no longer a school in need of improvement. So I share all of that with you because I want you to have that as a background to know that when we present to you a different way of thinking about how we are building our schedule, how we are asking students to engage in problem-based transdisciplinary learning, we do that with significant challenges ourselves. So we are going to share with you our experience last year as the first year having a STEAM team. And then we are hoping that we'll have lots of time for you to ask us questions. We're anticipating that you will have many. So I'm going to begin by sharing with you that at East Syracuse Manoa, we have a district vision of preparing our students, our 21st century learners, to excel in an interconnected and changing world. And that vision is known by most of the staff, students, and community members at East Syracuse Manoa. As part of that, and the history of how we came about having a STEAM team, is our district is one of the key components of the Central New York STEM Hub. And the Empire State Network has created these STEM hubs throughout New York State that can inform and help other schools learn from each other as far as how we can promote STEM education in not only our state, but then the Empire State Network is connected to the national network. So we were given the fortunate opportunity 2 years ago to be able to travel to a couple of different schools. And we were given that good fortune through Siemens Corporation. That's one of our school business community partners. Siemens Corporation funded for myself, a science and technology, and a math teacher from the middle school, as well as those same discipline teachers and the high school principal and some central office administrative staff to go to Austin, Texas, to a school that was demonstrating some STEM initiatives in that they were developing institutes for career pathways within their high school. And then we also went to Metro High School in Columbus, Ohio. And we were able to see, again, a high school that was demonstrating problem-based learning. From that, we came back and we said, well, in our suburban middle school, and when I say suburban, I have to define that for you a little bit more. We're considered a suburban school district outside of Syracuse. However, we have an urban population, we have a rural population, and we have a typical suburban population, being right on the border of the city of Syracuse. So we thought, what can we do? What did we learn from that valuable experience, and what can we do at our school so that we're promoting STEM fields and taking advantage of problem-based learning and really promoting 21st century skills. So through thought process, we decided that rather than coming up with a STEM team, it's important for us to recognize that the arts are very important. So we came up with STEAM education, and you can see this is how we define it, STEAM. Our STEAM team is a transdisciplinary group of 8th grade students. The STEAM team we're going to tell you about is a transdisciplinary group of 8th grade students and teachers at Pine Grove Middle School. I am Kelly Sass, I'm the principal. I'm going to have the teachers that are here introduce themselves to you.
I'm Kevin Michaud, the social studies teacher.
I am Taylor Hunt, and I'm ELA literature.
Tim Patterson, technology.
Nicole Bertrancic, I teach language arts.
I'm Jason Fagg, science teacher.
I'm Tina Oakley, the math teacher.
Sue Sylvan, special ed teacher.
And the reason I say this STEAM team is because this year we've expanded, we also have 7th grade STEAM team. We would like to start by having you listen to our students talk about their experience being on the STEAM team. The STEAM team is about, it depends for grades, it's about 80 to 100 students.
It was really fun. It was like something new that other students don't usually do, and it helps us with group skills. It helps us talk to other people that we might not usually talk to, and that could help us with charismatic skills as we get older and into our next careers. We got to work with our coworkers and other people.
It really was teaching us to be adults and how we're gonna have to work in the real world, and it's like kind of like a reality check, like hello, we're grown up. This is what we're doing. I feel it was better than the other teams because we got to do like a wide variety of like things. Like in the other classes, they have like 40-minute periods, and we have like 80-minute periods. We work on a large project, and we kind of had the same people in our classes like all the time, and it was a little bit easier to like work. We worked a lot with other people and with parents from like high school and we're always doing like your school there's science and social studies math, and the next day you go to science and social studies math 40 minutes a day. You go into first you go into science for 80 minutes, and you go into social studies for 40 minutes, and the next day you go into math. Everything's very jumbled, but in a fun way. Honestly, it was a complete surprise. When I walked into this team, I thought it was going to be awful, and it was amazing. It was a privilege, pretty much, to be on this team. The project really helped me come out of my shell. It gave me speaking skills to large audiences and to separate individuals that really helped me become a more mature speaker and presenter. It was a fun challenge. It wasn't like we were taking tests every week. It was projects that were going to help us. It wasn't just projects that, maybe like 1 deal use or 2 teams, but it's projects that everybody did. The last project was my favorite because we worked in groups and we worked on working with other people like we would in any other situation in real life when we grow up and have our own jobs. I liked the hands-on experience with the building, the models, and I really loved presenting and being able to present myself as who I am.
Studying college environmental science and forestry, you work with some ESF students at the high school level more than the middle school level, but I've been getting to see throughout the year the work that the STEAM team has been doing. The projects today really were a great example. There's so much interdisciplinary things that are being shown today from the civic engagement perspective, the science perspective, the mathematical perspective, that I think, in terms of just an energy and energy standpoint, it's so much more effective to be evaluating on all these levels with a single project, because in real life those are all interdisciplinary information.
I hope the project could expand or continue onto the screen and get others. It was a really fun time. I had an amazing experience. And again, I hope it expands to high school because I love this team.
We got to work with people that know the same thing stuff. We got to put your hands on things and build stuff and create just like a whole presentation.
I'm the STEAM team this year, and I feel that this project was an excellent opportunity for the kids to get together and learn to work together and do research and cover real life situations that they will be faced with at some point in the future. Any town meeting regarding any subject. I think it's important for them to learn to understand their strengths, how they can work on a team with other individuals who have different strengths and yet produce something so wonderful like this presentation that they did today.
Just outstanding the level that the students are able to engage with the content from a scientific standpoint, from a presentation, or even from the artist standpoint. You don't see that level even at high school and college sometimes. You don't see that level of being able to communicate. So I was really impressed by everything today.
So we hope there are a couple of themes that we want you to understand from this. We have taken some risks, certainly at Pineville Middle School, in rethinking teaming and interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary learning. So one of the themes is that I like to say to the staff on a semi-regular basis, don't let a perfect plan get in the way of a good plan. Try something that's based on research-based principles, because we know as educators that we need to start shifting our educational delivery models. Many of us were educated as educators in a time when we were in silos. You go into your own classroom, and we know that students don't function that way, and that collaboration skills and communication skills are very important and part of their world. So we took a risk. There's a lot of trust that we have for between each other for what we're doing, and we hope that you'll see that we are absolutely recognizing the gains in student learning beyond just the one measure of state test.
All right, so you just heard in those videos, our students and a lot of our community members mentioned that we were doing problem-based learning. So there's projects, there's hands-on activities. In order for the students to get through those problem-based learning, they really need to learn the steps of how to solve these hands-on problems. So this is the design brief template. The team has embraced this design brief system, problem-solving system to work through those activities, and you can see the steps there. It really helps us organize our projects, whether it be in ELA or math or social studies. As a way to kind of present the design brief, we've set up our presentation today to follow this design brief format. So we'll start with one, and as we go throughout the presentation, we'll finish with our evaluation and our feedback. So you'll see these elements as we go forward. Starting with, so we have to solve a problem. To solve that problem, we need to know what that problem is. And in talking with our business partners, like Stadnog mentioned, Siemens Corporation, one of our business partners, they mentioned that one of the problems with our graduates coming out of high schools in the country here, that they are not ready for these STEM jobs, or these STEAM jobs, as we might call them. They need the skills in science, technology, they need the engineering and the math skills. They also need the 21st century skills of communication, creativity, all those skills that we really need to focus on, what we're trying to focus on our STEAM team. We have the opportunity to kind of work under this design statement, this statement that kind of focuses us in our decisions. And what we've had the opportunity to organize ourselves onto a team, very traditional looking team from the outside, but for us, it's constantly looking for that transdisciplinary connections between content areas, making sure this educational program is available for all levels of students, and give enrichment and intervention systems as we see fit. That we're unified, that all of the teachers are working together with common expectations, with systems like the design brief that allow the students to see those connections between different classes, and to make sure that we're fluid or adaptable, and make sure that our needs are driving us and not the time. And as we go forward, making sure that what we need to accomplish is able to be delivered as we need in the public school setting. So like any solution to a problem, we have rules we have to follow. We have constraints we have to follow. Listed up there are some. Basically, we are a normal public school. We're not a charter school. We have a normal 9-period day that we have to fit into. In the next few slides, you'll see how we adapt to that normal situation, how we try and make it fit the situation that we want to have. And as any sound educational program should have, it needs to be based in research. And these are some of the academic initiatives that East Syracuse Manoa has presented to us throughout the years, and we certainly have these in the front of our mind as we make our decisions, as we make these shifts that our district is putting forward to us. We want to make sure that we have a structure that allows us to accomplish these goals. And in doing this, getting to the implementation, the actual delivery of our educational program, we see it at 4 different levels. The team level, with all of us working together, co-teach level, where
2 or maybe 3 of us are working together at a specific time. Class level implementation and how we address our concerns as we teach our individual content areas, and then how are we working with the administration to make sure that this is a successful program. So we'll start with the team level implementation and then work our way throughout the process.
Yeah, quickly, I'd like to start talking about the way that we address this with the schedule. I'm somebody that's been teaching in a traditional schedule for about 17 years or so, and I'll tell you, it's a blast to try to see what actual constraints there are in that schedule and what are perceived constraints of what you're able to do. Because a lot of times, if you try to have in a speaker, you try to gather as a large group, that shuts down absolutely everything. And it becomes a flash in the pan, one-time thing. It's not something that is systemic. Once we started to unlock these schedules that we have, we realized that we don't have 5 schedules, we don't have 8, we don't have 20. We have an endless possibility of schedules that you can run in a traditional school day. If I hit the next slide for me. This is what my schedule has looked like for years of teaching. I get 9 periods. A student schedule might look like this. And you'll see these core classes in here. Again, we can call them content for whatever. We got science, social studies hanging out there, writing hanging out over here, and then we have literature and math hanging out at the end of the day. For us, those are our team classes. I don't know if anyone is teaching in a teamed experience where you do have a team of teachers that share a common core of kids. But if you do, you can identify some of those classes as those core classes. So these are where the kids are on team, we'll say. This is what your typical schedule would look like. What we did is we basically blanked those out. There we go. We blanked those out, and that's the highlight of my whole weekend. We kind of blanked it out and looked at it as 2 separate periods. We looked at it as having one class of 100 kids for 126 minutes, which is periods 2, 3, and 4. They pass back to their traditional day, and then we see them again at the end of the day for 83 minutes. The second you address your student body like that, there's so much you can do. Rather than having the time, the activity fit whatever time you have. As a science teacher, I hate that. Clean up, clean up, clean up. You have 4 minutes, and then everybody get all the data, or you got kids working at different paces. Everything's always rush, 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 which I like. I like the rush. I like the hustle and bustle. But I was making my lessons fit that small period of time. With this, at the drop of a hat, really, you can change those class period times and change the groupings. For example, you want an 80-minute science, literature, writing, and social studies, and maybe math likes to keep it on a 40-minute. Bam, we got a schedule for that. That's relatively easy. And depending on what you are doing and what you're currently in the middle of, we can tweak these so we can have 80 minutes of science, 20 minutes of math, 20 minutes of writing, 40 minutes of this. It can all happen fluidly, concurrently within the schedule. Also, if you want to flip to the next slide, it also gives you the ability to meet as a large group without shutting everything down, without losing all those little bits of time. So it's really efficient. If we want to have a morning meeting, for example, with all of our students, and you'll be hearing about this in a little bit, we can still have those classes. Also, it gives you the ability here, you'll notice a math science co-teach. In fact, in every schedule we've created, 2 content area teachers are in a class at least once, which really makes a huge difference. You should see what it's like for somebody who's got a little bit of experience to teach with your math teacher and see the lesson going on with your students. Just opens up those co-teaching possibilities for when you come back to your own class period. You'll notice we could also throw a large group activity in the afternoon with all classes meeting. We have some of these classes drop. We have got basically an endless number of possibilities. We had a great schedule going on this week right before we left. Yes, what's going on?
How many students do you have on your team?
We have 9. The schedule is built for 96. And we'll talk more about student grouping in a little bit. But basically, 4 classes of 24. But our schedule will still say 5 classes because we're like a typical school still. But we'll have 4 classes of 24, and we kind of move them around. Yes, a good time to take questions now? I don't want to go over it. They only give me a certain amount of time to get really excited about the schedule. We're all chiming in. We can ask
Chasing your effort.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, team. We're fluid.
When you say like that 96, is that your whole 8th grade or whole?
No, that's our team. There are 2 right now. 2 teams.
Are there 2 STEAM things?
There's just 1 STEAM team functioning in the 8th grade. So this 8th grade team is actually running parallel to a traditionally scheduled team. So it's very much an initiative.
How did kids choose if they wanted normal stuff?
No,
randomly selected.
completely randomly selected. Because the content's exactly the same. And our rationalization for parents when we do get that question is, all you're doing is you're hearing about our lesson plans now where you didn't before. Because we're still teaching that same content.
So
But we found efficiencies in the schedule to start to address different things also.
Are they doing like the project-based
stuff that you're talking about with the problem and then these things at all, or it's just normal English, normal social studies?
Very much hybridized between the two. So if we have a team project running during this portion, we might have traditional content that supports this activity going on in what you think of when you think of teaching your class like you have for years. So we have the ability to kind of go in and out of that sort of mode, but always have a project in play and always be able to realign and back up the traditional classroom setting.
Okay, so let's
Sure, yes, I think so. Keep glancing over.
well, this is like whole, like, that's straight, like, the Spanish, like, are all 96 of your kids in Spanish at the same time?
No, I took a random kid schedule. We offer three different languages. Do we have three? So those kids will all break out to go to different locations and they become commingled with the rest of the building. The rest of the building doesn't even see this. It just happens within the confines of these two blocks that we own. So everyone is unaffected. We could not tell anyone, but we decided to.
So some of the kids may have foreign language first period,
Okay.
and some of them may have it fifth, sixth, or seventh.
Okay.
So they're going to
It's
have
like a
their
random
special areas of foreign language at different times.
Thank you.
Okay, I will not give you my example on the board, so you can stand. We'll talk about it later.
So you may be asking, well, when you have large groups, how do you fit 96 kids in one classroom this big? Well, what we have done is there are two classrooms at Pine Grove that we have the door, the retractable door that opens and closes, and we can pull it back, and it opens up to two large classrooms, and that's where we have the kids. The kids come in the first day of school, they sit down on the floor, we do morning meeting with them, and a lot of projects are done on the floor. We'll have two groups sitting in tables, and then two groups sitting on the floor. So they actually become very, very adaptable with that in their sitting situations and how they work, and they're really fluid with that. Next is the grouping. So I teach special ed, and in previous environment, sometimes you just come in as a special ed student or a student with special needs, and you have a schedule, and you're just placed into what is considered an ICT class or inclusive class, blended class. And so what we do here is we have the 96 students. We extract those that have learning needs or IEPs or 504s. I read through those. I identify the needs with the present levels of performance. Any special ed teachers in here? Okay, so identify with the clubs, and then we look at class placement on the IEP. And then the student's needs, just like Kevin was saying earlier, that drives the placement, that drives the grouping. So the students with special needs are placed first, and then the students without special needs are placed after. So coverage is then derived from that, so the needs are what drive the grouping. And then after that coverage is placed, then things fall into place that way. The groupings are dynamic, so that's for instructional groups, where we call them A, B, C, D, those 4 groups, which are our main instructional groups. And then within those groups, there could be groupings that change. There could be team projects to address your team projects. There's also transdisciplinary projects that may be going on with just math and science or history and science. There may be also class, like a regular, normal class project that may be going on. Like we just did one in ELA writing, Monkey's Paw, and they have groups in there. So they're constantly working in groups. So we feed off of that, the constant working groups. Is it okay that I shift gears and back here? There are some pictures up there that you can take a glance at, but we knew that just setting the kids up to working groups and throwing them in a group was probably not going to work. Because if any of us have done it in their classrooms, you do it once in a while, they work in a group, and it just doesn't flow the way that you hoped that it would flow. So we knew that we needed to set up and create that atmosphere that these kids were comfortable working with others, working in large groups, small groups, and presenting as well once they had created something as a group. So we decided a morning meeting would be a good way to bring in these skills and teach these skills formally, informally, but give them what they needed to be successful in group projects. So we looked at the responsive classroom, if anybody's familiar with that. They have a morning meeting program that they use, typically used in elementary schools, but is marketed for middle schools as well. So we took their outline of a morning meeting and we adapted it to fit our needs. They have 4 parts, being a greeting, time for kids to share, some sort of activity for the kids to do,
and then an agenda given out for the day, the week, whatever. So we start off our morning meetings. We have every student in the room greeted in some way, shape, or form. We do different activities to have that greeting each Monday. And that just gets them welcomed into the class, into the starting of the week, and feeling part of the team. And from there, we go into a sharing activity in which we created a project that all kids will complete at some point during the year. It's called our Best Week Ever project. And what they do is they go to all of their classes during that week and record in some way, shape, or form a summary of what happened in those classes. And then they need to come back and present to the large group what happened in their classes, all their classes, including extra activities for that week. So, do you want to show them just like the first part of that? There's an example of one of the Best Week Ever projects that was put together.
Hello and welcome to Scene News, where we will be wrapping up some of the best things we did last week on the Scene team.
And started off, we have Carolyn here in Mississauga class.
Hi, this is Rochella coming from A5 to A6 in ELA writing. What are we doing in ELA this week?
In ELA writing, we are talking about your immigrant coming to America, going through Ellis Island. We are writing a letter talking about our journey to summer back home. Fun class, wasn't it, Elias?
Yes,
How's your letter coming along?
pretty good.
Well, that's good.
So this gives kids the opportunity to experiment with new technology, as you saw the green screen that they used in the background there. Also thinking about how they're going to summarize this whole week and being creative. That was one venue that they chose to do like a news broadcast, but we've had other ideas presented. So that gives them that opportunity to share their own way that they would like to. And then we also have an activity each morning meeting, which brings in some of the social skills, some of the team building aspects, and allowing kids to just get comfortable working with each other and to build that community sense. That was one of our main things that we feel like this team has really done a good job in building a sense of community, making kids feel like they're part of something. And if we give them the opportunity to do these things like Best Week Ever. This year we're going to start an iMovie project in which they have to research a career as well. And we're giving them those opportunities in a non-threatening way. We're not giving them content specifically that they need to learn for those kids that have always struggled in the classroom. This is something non-threatening for them. We're also teaching them social skills. The bottom left-hand corner there, that's an activity that we did the first week of school. It's called Kitchen Capers. They were given an envelope of supplies, like a toothpick, a pencil, an index card, and they had to put together some sort of kitchen utensil and then sell it to the group. Why this is the best thing ever that you have to have in your kitchen. And they just had to do a quick, short commercial. And it was amazing. We're bringing in all the 21st century skills for their creativity, collaboration with group members, they're presenting this after, and we just brought in a lot of those skills kind of informally in a fun way, but these are the skills that they build upon, that they use later on in their projects, in their presentation, the final project that we did for the year, they were able to get up there and speak as a group. So that was, they've gained a lot of their skills from this morning meeting and some of the activities that we do. And then lastly, we set our weekly expectations in there. As you saw, the endless amount of schedules that we have, we let them know ahead of time on Monday when you first walk in. This is what you're going to see this week. This is what the schedules are going to look like. This is what you're going to do in each class. You might have math tests on Friday. Be prepared for that. So that's where all that kind of stuff comes out to make them feel comfortable and they know what's coming for them.
In order for all of this stuff to work, all of these different things that we wanted to try to implement, we realized, like with having we have 40 different schedules now that we run in the drop of a hat, and all these different projects like morning meeting and having people come into the community, that we really did need some continuity or else it would kind of seem a little chaotic. So what we decided to do as a team is really focus on behavior expectation. Instead of having one expectation in Ms. Hunt's ELA class and another behavior expectation in Mrs. Petranchik's class, the whole team has the same exact expectation. every single classroom, and if you look on page 15 in your packet, you can now if you want to, you don't have to. In every classroom on a clipboard, the students all have a green sheet with their names on it that we refer to as the mini-mum. All right, they have these skills on there, being active, learning, being responsible, so on and so forth, and they're held to that. They're held to that standard in every single classroom. So when the kids transition from a large group activity to a community member coming in and speaking with them to our individual classroom, their behaviors are all expected to be the same. And what it's done is really allowed for those transitions to become basically seamless. Like you'd think it would be chaotic telling, a group of 96 13-year-olds that you're going to have ELA day for 80 minutes, but math for 20 and social studies for 15, but it's not. It's not at all. They function through because all the expectations are the same. In addition to that, this year, we've also tried to kind of raise the bar a little bit and make our academic standards the same as well. So if we're working on a project that's more science-oriented, their writing still has to be on par with what's expected in ELA class. And all this continuity that we try to keep as a team has really provided like a nice foundation for all of this different stuff to happen. I really don't think without that foundation we'd be able to do the different schedules and the different things and the different projects that we have. Both of these things on page 15 and 16 in your packet. We also have our grading policy is exactly the same. On page 16, it's our portfolio cards. All of the kids have the same exact thing. 80% of all of our grades is content driven and 20% is the behavior expectations, which is recorded on the mini-mo. And those are all there for you.
On the team level also, we wanted to take a look at community partnerships. This is something that you're always hear about, building these community partnerships, but I've always been kind of skeptical of personally, because they always seem like the bring somebody in for a day to do something and then it gets dropped, or it's like a field trip that happens at once. It's not something that's systemic. By building schedules like this and then having student behavior such where they can be ultra flexible with meeting as a large group at any point during the day, we found that it was really easy to hook up with some really interesting partners that we could bring in to the classroom. You're going to see a few of them here. One of the ones that we did first to introduce one of our team projects, which was a business project, that's our DECA club from the high school. So we draw on a lot of resources within our own district to present to the kids. So they're helping roll out our business project. This right here is an engineer from Siemens Energy Corporation who's working as an energy consultant with our engineering energy companies, which are these guys here. They're actually asking questions directly to engineers that are walking around the room. This day was coordinated as part of this project. Over here, you're going to see, actually, this is just from a couple weeks ago, to kick off Best Week Ever, where the kids have to give some sort of news broadcast. That's actually a local anchor woman from one of our local news stations out in Syracuse, giving a presentation of what it's like to do journalism and be part of a news crew and stuff like that. And then we rolled directly from that into our project. That's me with no hair, and there we are talking with NASA. I've also been told I can't talk too long about this. But I am a science teacher. We got a great contact going at NASA. This is coinciding with the Mars rover landing. So when I'm teaching things like escape velocity, and I'm talking about the gravity of planets and the solar system, our kids are able to interact directly as a group of 96 with these engineers at NASA JPL. And we're actually going to be building Mars rovers under the direction of engineers on these different teams this year for one of our projects. This right here is a professor from SUNY School of Environmental Science and Forestry building windmills with our kids in a large group. So again, we wanted something systemic, not just a one-time visit where somebody comes in, but something that truly integrates into the programs that we're currently doing and can translate directly into your projects. It's one thing to bring somebody in to speak, and it's another thing to embed these people into your projects as they're going on, which is what we're looking to do.
All right, so we've been talking a lot about our grouping, our flexible scheduling. All of those things allow us to do team level projects. So we all have different projects going on in our classrooms, science labs, having done a lot of projects in social studies. So in addition to that, the whole team participates in a team project that lasts like a few weeks, I would say, sometimes longer. So we started the year because we knew we had to start somewhere. We had to do something. So we started the year with a project that we called Eye of the Tiger. Had nothing to do with Eye of the Tigers. But it was what the students had to do. The question of the project that drove it was, how can we make Pine Grove a better place? So the students looked at topics. everything from like bullying to school lunches to how lighting and wall color affects the classroom. We researched that, so we had a language arts component where we were researching. In math class, the students did surveys, so they wrote surveys in math class, and they got out there in the school community and talked to other kids, and then calculated their surveys. And in social studies, they worked on the video production of it, and the students actually, at the end result was a public service announcement that they produced about their topic of how they could make Pine Grove a better place. Did we have a minute to show it? Okay, so this is one of the examples from the Eye of the Tiger. This was our first project.
Why do you have such sweet hair? Why is it so tall? Something on braces.
Why are you short?
You're ugly.
People say people with migraines sometimes find those kids work.
So that was one of the examples. I think it's at the end, correct me if I'm wrong, we did it a couple times last year. We had all the large group in, and we did like a red carpet kind of thing, and all the kids watched each other's PSAs. The next project that we did, we called it Taking Care of Business. When Jason was talking about how we had the DECA students come down from the high school, that was the kickoff for that. Basically what the students did was they had to design a product, and they had to create the product, and they had to sell the product. On your way out, I think we have some product examples of what the students created. What we learned kind of as the year went on was that it wasn't always necessarily about the end product. I mean, the PSAs were awesome, but it was more about the process. And in every project that we did last year, we were constantly changing what we did. It wasn't always about, the really cool thing at the end that everybody's going to see. It was more about how we move through the process. So what we learned from Eye of the Tiger was that, not all the students are going to take it to that level where they're going to get a 100 on it. Some students are probably just going to move along, and you know what, they're going to land in that 85 range, and that's fine for them. So what we did with Taking Care of Business was we moved it as far as we could, and then the students that really had all their stuff together, we had a lot of checkpoints in the process, and if they were able to, they took their project to completion. So how many groups did we have that? Oh, 3 or 4. Was it?
Yeah, actually we have 5 groups take it all the way to an actual sale.
Yeah, and so they in writing class they wrote business letters because a lot of these groups didn't have materials, so we did a lot of writing. We wrote to businesses in the community to ask for donations, and some of the groups were really successful in getting some donations in, so that was great. In social studies they talked about like the organization of business, so it was a great project, and again something that we learned was that it was kind of more about the process at that point. And we had some really nice end products as a result of kind of letting go that all the kids had to get to that end product. The final project, and I'm gonna, because this was our big end of the year project. You saw it in the video in the beginning, all the kids talking about from June 2012. This was after our big project. We called it I Got the Power. It was like I said, our culminating project, and the expectations were high. It was very differentiated, which was awesome. So all the kids participated, and all the kids got to that end product. They all just did it in different ways. So we had an engineering test in the beginning, and some of the kids became engineers. Some of the kids became a film crew, right? I had students that were blogging, so they were out interviewing during project time, members of the team, and they were trying to get like exclusive interviews, and I had a real-time blog, so they would come back to the classroom, they put it up on the computer, and then what was fun is like Jason would have it on in science or social studies and math, and the kids were getting like a real-time news feed of what was happening during the project. We also had protesters, which was great. We had the end result was a town hall meeting. So outside the town hall meeting, we had like kids that designed signs, we had protesters, we had our news reporters out there, and then the kids that presented the project. I think you guys want to add it. It was such a big deal.
Go ahead if you want to take it for we built the city part.
Well, the students, their work was housed on a website called We Built This City. That's where the bloggers put their information. That's where our commercials that were persuasive to try to convince the public to vote for their side. It's really housed as a civics project as far as getting the vote out, and a energy project as far as which energy source is going to create or power this fictional city that we actually created a little bit earlier in the year. And what this team project allowed us to do was to really focus on our expectations, those skills, but really where it came from was a co-teaching experiences that we saw earlier on in the year, where we had these different themes of city building, and we were able to have these relationships between the different content areas, and then it naturally evolved into a team level project. So what we've been talking about throughout our presentation to this point is like the team level. What do we all do together? The second part of our implementation is the co-teach level, and what happens at the co-teach level. So that's when 2 or 3 of us are working together.
So you can see from this example, and this is their last project, that co-teaching has taken on one of the benefits of co-teaching in this model is it's taken on content thematic opportunities for our students to be able to see connections between the content areas. Clearly, you can see how that was done in this project. But Kevin, if you show the next slide, we've also noted within this team that co-teaching has been brought to a completely different level, and we're noticing some benefits that we might not have really even thought about before. So in many co-teaching examples at schools, you will see a special education teacher co-teaching with a regular education teacher for the benefit of the special needs students. But what's happened on this team is myself as a master scheduler scheduled this team as a traditional team, however, put them within a block of time. On the student schedules, in the first year last year, it read that they had math period 1 and social studies period 2, and then the kids came in and their schedule was torn up, and they were explained that your schedule is going to be, you're not going to have these 5 different classes, you're going to have these 2 blocks of classes. This team has taken all the kids that would have 5 classes and divided them up into 4 groups, so that at any time there is a 5th teacher and the special education teacher that can co-teach content. So what it's done for co-teaching is it has allowed these teachers to truly understand each other's content area. So all the while in our district where we've done curriculum mapping and we've had articulation meetings, within our school, our teachers at Pine Grove have an every other day opportunity to meet as a department. On the opposite day, they meet as a team. All the while they've had these opportunities over the years, they've never had an opportunity where they get to go into someone else's classroom on a regular basis and learn what their colleagues are teaching. So co-teaching has been brought to another level. It has also allowed for us to differentiate for all students, not just the special needs students, to a much greater level. So, for example, you can share what you did last week in ELA.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to start? Or want me to start? I can start. Okay, go ahead. So in language arts, what we did was the students, we start our year off 8th grade writing a narrative essay. So we used the narrative essay as like a baseline, so is that a good term? Okay. So we took a look at their narrative essay to take a look at where they were at writing wise. I could have looked at, say, test scores, or I could have looked at a lot of things, but I wanted something that they just did that was real. So we identified basically kind of like 3 different levels. We also, I guess I should say, on the team, we do have a group of students that are excel in language arts, and they're all mixed in. So what was nice was we took a group of students, and Taylor worked with them kind of at the taking their essay. They had a nice essay, but they could, take it up a notch. All the mechanics were there, but they, could make it even better. We also had a group that, did a nice job, but maybe they needed some more work with their paragraphs and topic sentence and word choice and sentence writing and transitions and all that. And then we had a group that really just needed help with a paragraph and writing a complete sentence and punctuation and capitalization and really looking at spelling. So what we did was
we did that. We divided the kids into groups. The whole team took part. Sue and I took the kids that needed the help with the basic paragraph. Taylor and Jason took the group that were kind of at the top and were ready for the next level of instruction. And then Tina and Kevin took the kind of the group in the middle that just could just kind of make it a little bit take it to the next level, but not quite to the level that Taylor and Jason went on. Yeah. You want to add to that?
It was just, in general, it was a really rewarding experience because it was one of the first times that I can remember that kids, they were provided level truly at their instruction based on something they had just done, not on a form that was filled out last year or anything else. It was like, how are you at writing a narrative essay, and let's get you help, or let's provide enrichment. So like in that enrichment section that I had, it wasn't just the kids that were slotted in our honors class. We only have 11 on that roster. There were 22 or 23 kids in there. So like even if we had a traditional schedule, those kids in our regular class would have been bored because they were already there, but they weren't in my honors class. We could extract them, and like the improvement was immediate. And not only that, because we have all this flexible scheduling, the science teacher was in there with me, and he was able to provide like his own introduction from a race that he had just done, like a marathon that he had just done, which was so powerful for the kids because the more people that they see are invested in this writing process, they were instantaneously invested, and they're like, if Mr. Fay did it, I'm gonna make this better. And it was just within that 40-minute period, their intros, like there was one kid that's not even an honors kid, like if I hadn't seen him write it, we would have Googled it to see where he got it from. But he wrote it. It was great.
And it was nice too to bring it back to language arts class like the next day, and the kids became specialists within that. So I was able to have kids that worked on their introductions were able to then go back and help the kids that maybe just worked on getting their paragraph to the next level. And then I had the kids that worked on the the spelling, the punctuation, the capitalization, and they were able to help the kids that were in the group that took their introduction to the next level. So they didn't know, but they were all able to help each other, and it was awesome. It was great to see. It was one of those moments that I've always wanted to do as a teacher, and to like have that happening. It was really great.
And they were never labeled like the enrichment kids, but they were labeled specialists.
Yeah, we just called them specialists.
So you're a specialist in this area.
You're an introduction specialist. You can take your paragraph to the next level, and then I had my editing specialist is what I call them. They help to edit everybody else's on.
So just to close this part of it really quickly, the co-teaching level implementation. Did any of you hear Harvey Silver speak, some keynote speaker in a couple of different sessions? One of the things that he reminds us of is that one of the high yield impact research-based strategies that we can have students engage in is compare and contrast, narrative analysis. And one thing that we recognize very clearly from having had this experience with co-teaching is that comparative analysis is a thread of what these teachers are engaging with students in because they understand each other's content area. So they're continually asking students to, Harvey tells you, you can ask students to compare and contrast, but you're not going to have a high yield strategy until you get them to do the two next steps. They need to apply and they need to come up with a conclusion. And based on this model, these students are continually not only just comparing and contrasting different content levels with each other because it makes sense and the teachers are presenting together, but then they're also applying that learning, that interdisciplinary learning to projects and coming up with conclusions.
Now we shared a lot at the team level. We wanted to start with that because we think that is the thing that are most different. Worked our way to co-teaching, but how does that impact our individual classes? It's our hope that you can take some of those elements, maybe a little bit of one of those elements at the team level, and allow your students to see the connections more and kind of carry their expectations from class to class. But really, how does it impact me? We've got our SLOs, we've got our LATs. I still have to be a teacher. So in my own individual classes, I want to just share with you what has not changed. We still work under the same curriculum standards that our colleagues work at on the other team. We still have the Common Core standards that are in the forefront. Our students take the same tests, benchmarks, assessments that the other 8th grade students do on the other team. So those things have still not changed. I'm still a social studies teacher. I'm not a STEAM teacher. We still have our individual curriculums that we work on. But the impact that we've seen just on our individual levels is just the efficiency. Being able to extend messages during morning meeting to everybody all at once. Being able to possibly, if I'm going to give a lecture, teach to 100 kids with 6 other people helping out, then I can do that lecture once, and now I free up time for other teams or other teachers to use that time. So it's more an efficiency in how it's delivered. This procedure allows for this educational program allows for greater inquiry-based lessons. Students really being able to grasp what that means, taking the role in their own learning. As we get started, they can go ahead and they possess the skills to gather the information themselves. Obviously, we've talked a lot about project-based learning, but when it happens at the class level, then it's not just something new, it's something that they are actually practicing the skills that they maybe have done in another class. And we've seen great strides in the students being able to take the skills that they learn in social studies class and move it to math and science class. Some of those connections that you don't think traditionally they're connected, the students are able to see, geez, hey, I learned that in math class, or I learned that in writing class, I learned that in literature class. So it's been nice to see the impact at our individual levels in our classes.
From an administrative point of view, I think that you probably listened and heard that this fits our vision that I described to you at the very beginning. It continually, as a leader, helps me to address why are we doing this, why are we doing this way. That's something that I had to wrestle with. When staff members say, any administrators in here? So when staff say, well, we can't change the schedule because we keep asking the question, why are we doing this way? We can't do this. And I think one of the greatest things you need to know is that you have to give, from an administrative perspective, is you have to give teachers the permission to change and to do things differently and trust that we're all professionals and that we will change and adapt for the best of our students.
Can I say one thing? Just we talked about the teacher impact and the administrative impact and for the student impact, and just wanted to let you guys know that it's important. As a student, if I have, say, a classification or if I have an IEP and I'm, say, learning disabled in writing, that doesn't place me in these different groups. And my skills place me there. And I think it teaches kids, all kids, regardless of whether or not they're classified or not, it sort of transcends labels. So a kid can really learn, like the parent said in the video, what are their strengths? They can really learn their strengths. So maybe they're really good at writing intros. And maybe when we do another project, they're not that great at finding density. That's okay. So that student may not always be receiving enrichment because they're classified as smart or they're an honors kid. They're getting what they need.
Yeah, I had a great opportunity Monday this last week to go up to the high school and visit some of the kids that we had on our team. I just walked into the cafeteria, if you've ever taught middle school and then go to your high school, you know what that's like. It's like, hello. They're all yelling and stuff. And so I grabbed a couple. I grabbed 12 of them. And I just asked them a couple of really basic questions. And now that they had a chance to reflect on it and how could they apply this? Because this could be really bad. Like I had this cool interdisciplinary team, we did these awesome projects, and now I'm in high school, and now it's not like that. It was really interesting to hear what they said. So I think it's possibly a good way to just go out. Is their take on it as they enter high school. So here's some of the stuff I got from the kids when I was talking to them. You'll see the questions along the bottom there. It's a little rough. We didn't get a huge time to edit it. So.
I remember, like, this project because we all came together as one team, unlike previous years when we didn't do any of that. And so it's just a fun experience because it's like the high school for design class for always to improve class. I like to keep it cool with us because we got really competitive. And Emily and I won, so I really like that one.
Okay. That's what you remember. How about you guys? Something you remember most about being on the board committee?
Basically because my investments in education and stuff.
It was really organized, so you could walk in
Good morning. There's two okay. And it's scheduled. I did it.
For the sake of time, I'm gonna stop that. But it is available, and all of our student reflections.
Maybe like that. So Morty meeting is.
Yeah.
All of our student reflections that we've gathered are available on our website. This video is available on our website. Kind of start with the question of like, what would you want your students to say? We're very proud of what the students and that they were freshmen Monday, what they had to say. But for the sake of time, we also certainly want to answer some questions. But we want to be able to make sure that we kind of invite you. Tina, if you would like to take this.
I thought you were just going to take over. I was going to go with that. As Kelly said, we are part of the Central New York STEM Hub. So we have visitors coming into our school to walk through our classrooms, see what we do on a regular basis. We have time to sit and meet with them as our schedule shows up there. So we welcome anyone that's interested. We have cards at each group, so please take one if you're interested. Send us an email. You can contact us on the school.ed.org page, and we'll be happy to set up with something if you have more questions. We will hang out for a while, so if anybody has questions right now, you can talk to us. But if you bring this back to your school and there are more questions, please feel free to contact us. We are available.
Yeah, and I thank you for your participation, and just want to remind you that don't let a perfect plan get in the way of a good plan. You know, what model we created at Pine Grove was not at all the same as the models that we visited when we went to Texas and Ohio. Not at all. We got some really good foundational ideas. And we said, what can we do for our school? So do something different, and then maybe you can share with us so that we can continue to get better.
Any examples of what we talked about are located here on our website. But, thank you very much for coming. So we're available for questions.
Did you always have your English divided into two periods?
Special thank you.
But it wasn't always literacy and writing.
Yeah, we could have it. It's part of the conference where you're just like walking around. You got it. Please.
Periods, other times periods whenever they fall into the schedule. Just recently, 2 years ago.
I love scheduling questions.
Stressful and you like the teachers like split in like that
With having
writing and literature.
We said literature, but we call it course literacy because we with the Common Core and nonfiction reading and everything, it's not just literature. But some do, some don't. But we know that one of the things that we recognize from our assessments in areas that we need to improve in writing. So by having a class with probably teaching curriculum based around writing, then it's kind of helping us to focus on that.
For the teachers, do they get time for each other planning process?
Remember, I don't know if you heard me say, but one of the every other day